Strength in numbers meets a hard choice. Tonight I'm unpacking the one scenario that quietly sat on every whiteboard in the Bay this summer. What a straight swap of Jonathan Kuminga for Al Horford would have meant for our identity, our cap sheet, and our playoff ceiling, and why the reality the front office chose tells us even more. I'll take you through the on-court fit in Kerr's motion, the minute-to-minute math in non-Steph stretches, the contract angles that actually drive decisions, and the internal logic that separates a July headline from an April win. Stay with me. This is Warriors News Fan Report. And if you want the smartest Dub Nation community on YouTube, hit subscribe and let's go to work. Here's the brief before we dive deep. I'm laying out the package logic that was floated in league circles. The tactical effect of flipping a 23-year-old vertical wing for a 39-year-old chess master big. The timeline tension between upside and bankable execution. And how a mid-season pivot would ripple through rotation chemistry. I'll show you why the numbers on Horford's deal matter. Yes, the structure is the tell. How Kuminga's new contract changes his trade physics. And why the staff's obsession with decision speed push this debate right to the edge. Then, I'll deliver the update that closes the loop and sets our course. Let's frame the basketball first. Because the court always explains the office. In our ecosystem, Kuminga is oxygen for tempo. He turns defensive rebounds into sprint lanes, forces cross matches, and gives you free throws and putbacks on sheer force of will. He's the one who makes a 5-minute bench stretch feel like a track meet. Slip screen at 18 on the clock. Baseline cut at 12. Crash at 6. Live at the rim at 2. That energy bends defenses before the half-court even forms. On the other hand, Horford is geometry. Angles, timing, and handoffs that hit the pocket exactly when the low man blinks. He's the trailer who arrives with the ball, flips it into a DHO, then short rolls into a two-read tree, corner three if the tag stays home, pocket dime if the nail commits, kick back to Steph or Seth on the lift if the coverage overhelps. One is accelerant. The other is blueprint dot. So what does a pure swap do to our identity? You trade a burst of vertical pressure for a library of solutions. Kuminga warps the paint by force. Horford warps it by intellect. With JK, non-Steph lineups live at the rim and the line. With Al, they live in the seams. Short roll, weak to strong reversals. Two-man actions that keep the ball ahead of help. In a playoff series, that second thing is priceless when the game slows and teams sit on first options. But there's a cost. You give up the one athlete who turns a Tuesday in January, with dead legs and the 6 free points on effort and speed. The question inside the building wasn't star versus veteran. It was tempo versus certainty, ceiling growth versus floor stability. Now the layer nobody should ignore, size and switching. We were small last year and got punished on second chances when the bench bled possessions. Horford plugs that with positioning. He's not going to outjump 24-year-olds, but he ends plays with his hips, his hands, and his brain. He boxes out early, tags cutters without fouling, and communicates coverages so the scramble is organized. Drop, switch to contain, peel switch out of trouble. He's fluent in all of it. That calms the non-Steph minutes and lets our wings, Jimmy Butler included, stay attached to threats instead of babysitting the paint. Again, blueprint, flip side, and it's real. Kuminga is the one warrior who gets you from miss to layup before the defense sets. He's the second possession, battering ram who turns long rebounds into loud points. Bench units that lack that one quick strike spend too. Many trips trying to out-execute set defenses, and that's where we died in pockets last year. So you must replace that burst somewhere else. Gary Payton 2's chaos, D'Anthony Melton's pressure, or staggered Steph Butler minutes. Or your second group becomes too dependent on jumpers. All right, that's the court. Let's talk contracts, because the cap is the real opponent. Horford's deal with the Warriors is small on raw dollars and huge on meaning. 2 years in the low 8 figures total, a second-year option on the player side, and a reported trade kicker baked in. Translation: the number is movable, the player has agency. And the structure screens, we want Al here, and we preserve flexibility if we need to pivot. This is precisely the type of veteran contract that fits alongside stars without strangling optionality. Meanwhile, Kuminga's new 2-year pact in the mid-40s is both commitment and lever. Commitment, because you don't let a 23-year-old athlete with real two-way ceiling walk. Lever, because a mid-tier annual value is the perfect piece in trade math if a blockbuster emerges. This is why rival execs kept asking 2 questions in September. Will Golden State attach JK to chase a premium big? And will Horford be rent-proof? Translation: likely to remain through the run? Now layer in our roster shape. Steph's gravity remains the system. Jimmy's edge is the spine. Draymond is still the defensive brain. Around them, the front office chased 3 things: more playmaking in the front court, more reliable shooting in the second unit, and steel on the glass. Horford checks the first 2 in one body. He will run 45 handoffs a week and never miss the window. He will make the one more you feel before the camera pans. And he will hit the corner 3 you need to punish a stunt. That instantly stabilizes the non-Steph minutes, and just as important, makes Steph's life easier when defenses choose to switch and top lock. If you're keeping score, swapping Kuminga for Horford would have traded tomorrow's verticality for today's orchestration. That's why it lived on a whiteboard, because in April, when the refs put the whistles away and each set is a chess problem, coaches covet the guy who always knows the answer. But there's a reason this didn't move from framework to facts. The Warriors had a path to get Horford without sacrificing JK's timeline. They took it. They signed Al outright and re-upped Kuminga. They chose identity plus flexibility greater than either, or let's get tactical and concrete so you can see it. Picture a second unit shell. Butler handling above the break, Seth lifting from the corner, Draymond ghost screening. Horford arrives as the trailer. We flow into a DHO with Seth. The nail stunts. Horford flips the angle to a short roll as Butler cuts backdoor. If the low man tags, Al hits the corner. If the tag is late, it's 2 at the rim. If the weak side lifts, the kickback finds a rhythm 3. This is the basketball that made Boston win through droughts and will make us immune to cold spells. Now add variant 2, Steph plus Al in Spain action, Butler lurking on the 45 for the cut. You can't cover all 3 without a third defender committing, which is exactly where this offense eats. Now the counter you're shouting in the comments. Cool, but who turns defense into offense when the shots don't fall? That's the Kuminga file. The way to balance it is staggered gravity. Give JK at least one of Steph, Jimmy, and 100% of his minutes. Why? Because their gravity buys him cleaner first steps and makes his straight-line drive sustainable. Add one spacer, Seth, or a short roll hub, Horford, and suddenly JK's reads are one defender lighter. When the ball sticks, his worst possessions show up. When the ball moves before he catches, he becomes a rim avalanche. That's development by context, not by hope. Let's talk defense in series, because that's where this hypothetical either makes you smile or sweat. Against big wings and strong side. Overloads, Horford's communication and pre-rotations are worth points you never see on a scoreboard. He can show at the level, retreat to the roller, and still body up on the glass. He lets Dre roam as a free safety. He lets Butler stay on the primary threat. Against 5-out speed, Al's value is in the timing. Absorb the drive early, contest late, live with math, and end the possession. The worry. Can you survive when teams hunt him in space for 40 possessions? The answer is in scheme, scram early, peel switch on the second bounce, and keep the low tagger engaged. This is all doable with our personnel now, especially if the second unit boards like adults. Now, because we do journalism here, the timeline, the chatter about a Kuminga for Horford framework popped when our need for a front court organizer felt urgent and JK's negotiations dragged. It was clean math and clean rolls. The NBA loves symmetry. But then the path changed. Horford chose Golden State in free agency and signed a compact, flexible deal. Kuminga committed to a 2-year pact that protects both sides. The calculus went from either or to and. And is better. It gives Kerr 82 games to build a second unit that can win 5 minutes in May without borrowing from the stars. Gas tanks. It gives the front office a calm trigger finger at the deadline. Optionality without panic. Let me give you the rotation. Blueprint I expect to see early. Non-Steph minutes start with Butler plus Horford as the organizers. Set spacing, Melton pressuring point of attack. And one of JKGP2 toggling as the chaos engine. When Steph checks back, JK stays to run with the rhythm and crash the glass while Al toggles the connector. Screen, pop, swing, repeat. You bank stop-start sequences that feel small until they add up to 8 hidden points by the final horn. Before I hit the update and bottom line, I want your voice on this, Dub Nation, because this channel lives on informed fans. If the choice had landed on your lap, a pure swap of Kuminga for Horford in July, would you have pulled the trigger, or would you have bet on both timelines coexisting? And in the season ahead, how aggressive do you want Kerr to be with JK's minutes? Next to Al minus 12 to 14 a night together as a rule, or matchup based with spikes against switch-heavy teams? Drop your rotation map below. I'm pinning the cleanest X and no arguments tonight. Here's the update you've been waiting for. The Warriors didn't need a Kuminga for Horford trade to get their adult in the room. They signed Al outright on a tidy 2-year deal that fits the books and keeps agency on both sides. They then secure Kuminga on a 2-year contract that affirms belief in his growth while preserving flexibility. That's not a rumor. That's a read on philosophy. You don't trade your accelerant for your blueprint if you can have both. And right now, Golden State has both. Let's land this with the cap take, because the numbers dictate the next plot twist. A veteran big on a compact number with a kicker is an asset you deploy for basketball value, not just salary matching. If he's helping your stars conserve energy and win non-Steph minutes, you're not shopping him. A 23-year-old wing on a wing. Mid-8-figure 2-year deal is both the future and a lever. His value rises if the shot climbs, the handle tightens, and the defense remains assignment true. He becomes a headliner only if a star-level opportunity appears that you cannot refuse. Until then, you develop, you win, and you keep your powder dry. Dot my concise red on the basketball. Al Horford plus Jonathan Kuminga gives Kerr the 2 rhythms he needs to carry a series orchestration when the game slows. Pressure when it needs air. The temptation to choose one would have simplified life for cap sheet spreadsheet warriors. The wisdom to keep both gives the coaching staff real levers. When you can score out of a DHO tree on Monday and make a track meet out of Wednesday, you don't just survive the regular season. You build a team that still has answers when a playoff opponent takes away Plan A and Plan B. Now your turn, and I want specifics. Do you want JK's second unit starter role locked for the first 15 games? Or do you prefer a merit ladder week by week? Should Al close on defense against small lineups if the communication is elite? Or do you close fast with a switch everything look and trust the rebounding to the guards? Which 3-man combo should be our non-Steph anchor? Butler-Horford-Steph for spacing and reads, or Butler-Horford-JK for two-way balance? Tell me in the comments. I'll pull the best maps into our next rotation board. Final analysis, the Kuminga for Horford. Thought experiment told us where the pressure points were: tempo versus certainty, ceiling versus floor, headline versus habit, and the actual moves answered it the right way. Golden State signed Al Horford to organize our offense and calm our defense, and kept Jonathan Kuminga to supply the rim pressure, glass, and energy a contender needs. That's identity over noise, flexibility over panic, and winning basketball over rumor math. If this breakdown hit the way you like, direct, detailed, and honest, subscribe to Warriors News Fan Report, turn on notifications, and share with that one friend who actually diagrams Spain action in your group chat. I'm back with practice notes, minute tracking, and cap angles that matter when the calendar flips. Dub Nation, we're in this together. Let's build something that holds in May.